All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. First, I want to start off by saying thank you so much for being here today. We are going to go ahead and record it, but we have a very special interview today. And I just want to preface that we're just women that build businesses around our lives, around our kids, around life. Things are happening to all of us, each and every one of us. And it's really what we do and how we show up for it. And so, I have a very special guest that agreed to be on the call today to share with you guys that she's got a story and she's faced some challenges and some things that come up in this space. And a few months ago, she took a huge leap of faith. She left a company that she was with for 8 years, that she had grown to love and had a family. She was over 200,000 with that company. Her income claims based on her work and her effort. And she took a leap of faith. It took a few days for her to make that decision. I just recently learned. And so we're just going to share her story and let you know that you're not alone on your journey wherever you are. Within her first 4 months of this opportunity, with zero social media and zero posting, which has some of us very excited, she was able to clear $40,000. And so we're not going to sell you FOMO. We're not going to sell you hype. We're going to sell you meaningful conversation, and we're just going to hear her story. So thank you so much, Trisha, for being on the call today. Let me know that you have access to unmute and everything, and we're going to get you
Yep.
going. Awesome. Awesome. Thank you, Trisha.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. And I appreciate it. And seeing some names I know and lots of names I don't know. So pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So before we dive in, I do have some questions. If you could just take us back to before you got started, where were you at mentally with making a decision to leave something that you've grown to love? You were good at it, you were comfortable, you're in that place, and then taking a look at something else that was unknown to you at the time.
Yeah. So, oh gosh, where do I even begin with that? So the first thing is, yeah, so I was with the company that I got started with back in 2016. And I had gotten started there after another company I had been with closed the doors on us after 3 years with no warning. And so they hyped it all up. We had this big call. We thought they were announcing a new product or something. And lo and behold, what we found out is they were collapsing our comp plan into affiliate. But literally, we were going to start making like nickels and dimes on on those sales. I was just like, wait a minute, what just happened? But that's what led me to, where I had been. And when I got started there, I had been flown out to the company, met with the owner and CEO. Um, it just immediately fell in love with the culture, the people, like just everything about it. And I just knew I'm like, this is my home. This is exactly what I've been looking for. And there were 8 of us who all went together. We had in the other company we had met and we had, really grown as a very close friendships that like really was family. And we said, whatever we decide to do, we're doing it together. And so 8 of us flew out, 8 of us said yes. We came in, we went, just jumped in and started running ASAP. And first month, brought in over $5,000, was really excited. But I also was running a full time accounting business of my own at the time. And my goal had always been to be done with that. But it took me until 2020, so almost 4 years, for that to actually be a dependable full time income. But even in the early days, doing it part time, like very part time around my accounting business, around three busy teenagers at the time, um, I was able to, work probably, I don't know, somewhere between 5 to 15 hours a week. And I say that because weeks that I had payroll and stuff for my clients, I worked less. And then the other weeks I could work a little more. But I was always able to make no less than $2,000 a month on the side. And so I knew once I really could put some time into it, I could do well. And that's what happened in 2020. Now, mind you, the entire time at this point, I was doing most everything on social media. I was using social media to post. I was I had gone through a very, very, very expensive coaching program that I had invested in that taught me skills. I was running ads. I was doing all the things. Was posting. I was creating groups. I was creating systems, just building all this out for my team. And in 2020, what ended up happening was obviously the world shut down, and we knew how to build online. And most people didn't have a clue what to do online. And so that worked in our favor. And all of a sudden, we had people joining us left and right because now everybody was at home working. People were scared they were going to lose their jobs. And then when it came time, when some of the rules had loosened up, people didn't want to go back to work. People wanted to stay home. And so we were attracting tons of people in, and our business more than 10 times that year. And so our first year in the company, I think we had made about 32,000. And every year we had pretty much, been around that. And then in 2020, we became six-figure earners there. And we were excited because that's what we had been working so hard for. I also had been doing some coaching, was a sales coach for a bit while doing this. And in 2020, I was able to let my accounting go. I was able to let the coaching go. And I was just doing just my business because we were so busy and being so successful with it. In 21, I helped another eight-figure earner in the industry start a coaching program on how to teach people in network marketing space to build online. And that was going phenomenal. So we had that year also, our youngest daughter had graduated from high school and was going off to college. And my husband and I had decided we were going to sell everything. We bought an RV and we were going out on the road. And we were going to do this for a year. And so when we went on the road, everything was great. We had everything paid off. We were bringing in $10,000 to $20,000 a month in income. Like life was good. And then everything started changing. So at the end of, let me just stop and think here. At the end of 2021, we started to see a decline. The company I had been with started making some changes. They had started making them a little earlier, but at the end of 21, we started really feeling the effects. And very quickly, our checks were cut in half. And same thing kind of started with the coaching program. We had been bringing tons of people in. And the person I was doing the coaching program with, he's like, I'm going to have to cut commissions in half because that's the only way we're going to stay afloat. So literally everything I was doing got cut in half. And then in 22, we said, hey, let's start an Amazon business. So we started doing that. We took a bunch of our money, we invested it in that. We started that business. It was going great for the first year. And then Amazon started changing all their rules as well. And so now we're approaching the end of 2022, and everything we had done was cut in half again. So now we're down to, now we're making, if we're lucky, about $5,000 a month, which is still good. Don't get me wrong, but that was still between all of our businesses now. Instead of it coming from one, it was the combination of everything. So in 2023, I made a decision that I was, in addition to still building this other company, which at this point I wasn't doing as much with, and for a few reasons, but it was because they kept making changes. And in fact, I shared the stage with Jen in the summer of 22 as being one of the top recruiters. I did it all through social media. I had brought in over 60 people straight up from social media from a TikTok video I did, obviously several, but it all started with this one video that went viral. And as I'm on stage being celebrated as one of the top recruiters, the person in charge of the event is out there saying how you shouldn't be using social media. And my whole team is just going, wait, what? Because she's up there and she did this all through social media. But what it did is it just started creating doubt within my team, like major doubt within my team. And after that event, a lot of my people were like, yeah, I'm done. I can't do this stuff anymore. But also what had happened was they changed the rules. So all these people who I had brought in through this promo that we had out there, they no longer could get it. And that's where I started feeling really yucky because I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I just promoted something that was a real thing. It was a great deal. now it's not available. Well, I've got all these people who just spent money on this and now they can't even get what they paid for. And of course, we were given a good twist to put on it. And I understand they had to make changes. They were a sinking ship at the time and they were doing what they needed to do to stay afloat. Like, I don't blame them. That's just the reality of what was happening. So in January of 23, I said, okay, well, until they figure it out, because my plan was, still wasn't going to go anywhere. I knew they were having some hard times, but I still loved everybody there, wanted it to work. I said, I'm going to go out and start doing digital marketing, and I'm going to take the skills I've got and put them to better use. And so that's what I was doing. That was going great. Within a few months, we started having sales every day, nice $1,000 sales. And then about 3 weeks later, TikTok decided to shut my account down when I changed my link. I didn't do anything, like, wasn't a video that violated anything. Still to this day, almost 2 years later, don't have the account back. I kept going, obviously, created some new accounts and, kept going and built that account back up too. So I was like, okay, obviously, if you can do it once, you can do it twice, but never could quite attract that same audience. And at that point, everything was just like this. Like, we would have a $5,000 month and we'd have a $10,000 month and we'd have a $2,000 month and we would maybe have a $5,000 month. And by the time we came around to the end of May of last year in 2024, in the month of March, had a $10,000 month. Month of April had a $10,000 month. Month of May had a $500 month. I didn't change anything I was doing. I was still being consistent. But what was also happening as our income is going like this, right? And we had to put some stuff on some credit cards. We had this Amazon business that we had invested a bunch of money in, that we were, taking care of all that money we had spent. So it was all of a sudden, I'm having a $500 month and I'm like, this isn't going to work. Like, luckily we had put a lot of money away, but over all these ups and downs and peaks and valleys and checks, dipping way below, our monthly spending, even though wasn't like we had to have $20,000 a month. Like, we didn't, $5,000 a month would cover everything, but we were having months that we weren't getting there. So we're pulling from savings and everything. So at this point, I'm going, okay, I'm going to be 53 in June. And this was my conversation, right? I'm going to be 53 in June. I want to retire in a couple of years. I don't want to be working for the rest of my life. We had our retirement set back when we were 30. Our financial person ended up having substance abuse issues and lost almost all of our retirement. So we were building that back up. And, it was like we were trying to make this headway. And it was like everything we were doing, just like, we kept approaching roadblock after roadblock. And so in May, I was just like, okay, I just really started praying hard on it. I'm like, what am I not seeing? What am I supposed to be doing? What am I missing? Because I'm putting the work in, like, I'm working so hard. What am I missing? And I just was praying for guidance to see what I needed to see, but also to have my eyes open wide enough to see what I needed to see. Because so many times, I don't know if you guys have ever felt like this. It's like you're doing all the work, and, I'm not a quitter. I've got grit. But sometimes I think we get so focused on that we're missing things in front of us. We're missing maybe the prayers that are being answered for us, but we're missing it because we're so focused on what it is that we're doing. And so I really was trying to be very open-minded and have my eyes wide open to not miss what it was, because I'm like, okay, maybe it's not what I'm doing. Maybe I'm not doing what I need to be doing. Maybe I'm not doing what you think I should be doing. Like, I'm doing what I need to survive, but what am I really supposed to be doing? And that's when I had a friend reach out to me and tell me she had something that I needed to see. And I was like, oh my gosh, not another thing. Like, that was my thought. And because I was like, I'm just not doing this again. And her response to me was, it's not MLM. I'm really glad she said that. It might be the only reason I looked, to be honest. Um, and and interestingly, I love this person dearly, but never in a million years did I imagine myself even partnering with her with anything. Um, I don't know why. I just didn't. And but I looked because there was one other thing too, and that is I knew she was the type of person that she would keep asking me until I said no. And so I thought, okay, you know what? Let me look at it now and tell her no now so she'll stop calling me. And I'm just like, so, and my husband even was like, you're not going to do this, are you? I'm like, no, I don't even know what it is, but no, I'm not doing it. This was before I saw it, by the way. But then and I don't even know if I've ever shared this part. The one of the things that was happening is I couldn't sleep at night. I was so stressed. Like I was having a hard time falling asleep. If I fell asleep, I was waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning. I was laying awake all night because my mind would just start racing. What do I need to do? What do I need to do? How can I fix this? What do I need to do? And the night before I was supposed to do the call with her, I
Oh,
literally laid
asal
awake
pari?
until like 6 a.m.
Huh?
And then I finally fell asleep and I woke up and it was 10 minutes before the call. And my hair was like literally everywhere. And I'm like, I can't get on this call. So I messaged her and I was like, I am so sorry. Um, but I can't do this call today. And I had a massive headache too. I woke up with this massive headache. And she was like, well, it's okay. You don't need to be on video. And I'm like, no, no, I actually do want to see this because I wanted to be respectful to the person, who was going to be showing me the information. And so I said, can we reschedule for tomorrow at the same time? I promise this will not happen again. And so the next day I saw it and then I couldn't unsee it. And interestingly, my husband said when I got off, he goes, you're not going to do that, are you? And I was like, I don't know. I can't say no. And that's when I really kind of dug in for about 4 days because I was just asking myself, okay, maybe this is what you were supposed to see. Let's instead of just jumping in though, let's take a day or two, get a little more information, and let's just pray about it and find out is this what you're supposed to be doing? And it was really in that couple of days, I got on more Zooms, I got more information. By the way, guys, I'm not always somebody who has to have all the information. But I, coming from a business where I had been a top leader, I was very well respected. I had really good relationships there, like really good relationships there. It was hard because I was just, in a way, I felt like I was quitting. I felt like I was going to disappoint people. I felt like these people who I had partnered with were going to be like, what in the world is she doing? Like I was thinking about all these things, but then at the same time, I'm going, but they're not paying my bills. They're not paying my bills. And I don't see any of this turning around for at least another 6 months to a year at a minimum. And that's not going to work for me. And so I just thought, you know what? I need to do what's best for me. But the other thing was, when I really started thinking about it, was I knew that the people who I never could help win before could win here. And people who had gone through personal development, people who were doing the work, people who were trying to do social things on social media, people who were trying to get on calls with people, but just had zero influence anywhere in their life. I knew they could win doing this. And that made me feel good because before, when I was getting the big checks, my team wasn't getting the big checks. I had a lot of people getting little checks. I didn't have anybody getting big checks. And that didn't really feel good because I knew they were putting in that work too. So in my mind, I had a friend who sent a book to me early that at the very beginning of the year, and it was called The Pivot Year. And I had been reading it and I just said, you know what? This is the pivot year. This is my pivot. This is where I am. And so then I just kind of said, okay, I'm not quitting. I'm pivoting. And, sometimes I think the vehicle that got us to where we are today isn't the vehicle that's going to get us all the way to where we want to go. It's the vehicle that's getting us to the next turn that we have to make. And we're pivoting around the obstacle. That's all we're doing. We're finding a way to get around, but we're finding a better way. But also, when I really looked at this, I said, I know, and it wasn't like I think, I know if I take what I know how to do and apply it to the system and process that's already been put in place that I don't have to go develop, that I can have success here. And that was really what made me make that decision. So I know that was a little long, Jen, but just kind of wanted to give a little background with that.
No, no, it was perfect, and I appreciate you getting into because some of that even I didn't realize. I just learned, because we speak with women, and in our mind, it's easy or it's simple, it's just a decision, but we don't realize the weight of the decision based on what we've gone through in our past and our experiences and our relationships, and feeling like we might be letting someone down, or they might be, viewing us as a quitter when, as you've said, we're pivoting into something that's not just working for us, because you and I have done digital products, we've done things, we
Mm-hmm.
know how to feed our families. We need something for the beginner to come in and feed her family in the first 6 days, 90 days, like whatever that looks like for her. And we were both after that that
Yeah,
simple duplication that is really something.
yeah,
So no,
yeah. And to your point with that, Jen, even on the digital side, I had a coaching group. I was doing things with people. They weren't duplicating my results. And even though I wasn't anywhere where I wanted to be with my results, I know everybody in my group would have killed to have the results that I had. I was still further ahead than they were. But they weren't even getting close to that. And these were people who had been consistent for a year or more. It wasn't like there were some people not doing the work. They didn't deserve to be getting the results. And that happens. But there were a lot of people doing the work and showing up and being consistent. And they just weren't getting the results. And it's not all on them. And one thing I will say with social media is you, yes, we can teach you the things to do that should work. And it should get you the result you want. But sometimes, depending on the platform, sometimes there's a little luck behind it too on whether the algorithm picks up one of your videos.
absolutely.
And there just is. And, I even, got on calls with people who had made, like several hundreds of thousands of dollars in a very short period of time, analyzing my stuff and saying, I think you just need to create a new account. Like, I don't know why your stuff's not taking off. Like, more than it has. Like, you should be getting hundreds of thousands of views on this video and you're getting like 10,000,
Yeah.
and that was the part that's frustrating is you're doing all the things and you're still not getting that result. And then you're seeing other people get the result and you're like, but I'm not doing anything differently.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's frustrating. And one of the things when deciding to do this is I was like, I want something I've got more control over. I want something that I have more control over, and that I know that people who do the same thing can have that same result. It's not going to be about the algorithm showing their stuff or not showing their stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree. As someone, when you and I met, kind of because of social media, because I was able to send you a message and say, I heard your name, I heard you're a mom, you live in Arizona, can I please take you to coffee? That is how, like, I
Mm-hmm.
reached out to Trish because my upline
Mm-hmm.
met her physically, and I was like, I want to take you to coffee. You're already, she was a rank that I was aspiring to get. And at first she blew me off and told me no. I'm only teasing.
Because I was busy. It was only because I
No,
was busy.
no, no. So when I contacted Trisha, I didn't know this at the time. They literally were leaving on their first road trip with the RV. So they were
Mm-hmm.
busy. They were ready to do life, but it worked out and we met, and we were able to share the stage and we both saw the same things happening. And for me, I wanted that last company to be my last company. and I didn't know what to do. And I'd gone viral and I'd followed Trish because she was building on social media. And I trusted her to tell me the truth, not to lie to me from the front of the stage and sell me on another thing, but to be like, there's some things happening. And yes, we all have to make decisions for ourselves, but I don't want to be lied to. And we don't want to lie to anyone on this call. Like these are real
Yep.
things that you go through when you have to ask yourself, am I being sold? Or are things really changing? And if you can't see the light at the end of the tunnel, there's probably some curves. Some people have
Yep.
enough savings to go through those curves. We did not.
Nope.
So you got started with something, you couldn't
Yep.
unsee it. What was that first 30 days like for you? You're starting over from scratch.
So it's actually kind of funny. Um, we had really, really good results. And the thing was, I knew if I put my head down and did the right activities, like I didn't focus on the results or the answer that I was getting for somebody. I was focusing on the activities, which I knew I had to do just from past experience. And I think one of the things for me is it had to work. It wasn't this might work. It had to work because I was really in a position where I had to find something that was going to pay me. At the end of the day, I had to have something that was going to pay me, and it had to pay me pretty fast. And I was unwilling to go back and get a corporate job, also traveling full time. That's kind of hard to do. Um, I could have gone back and probably picked up some of my old accounting clients or something, but I didn't want to do that. And so, here's the thing. I've owned my own business since, oh my gosh, I don't even want to say the year. Oh, wow, it's too many years ago. I can't say that. For over 20 years, I've owned my own business. And at the end of the day, guess what? I will always be the hardest worker, but I am 100% unemployable. Like, I'm just going to be honest, I am unemployable because I just want my own thing. I want to do it when I want to do it. And I'm going to put the time in, I'm going to do the work, but I want to control my schedule. And I also kind of don't like people telling me what to do. So I was like, I just need to make this work. Some people might think that's a little unreasonable and say, girl, go get a job. And I'm like, no, I'm not getting a job. So I had to make it work. And so I really just put my head down and I was extremely focused. Now, mind you, we were in Oregon at the time. We were visiting our middle daughter who lives there. And the other thing was when I built the last company, when we were building, we were working nonstop, like nonstop. It was like around the clock, everything going. I was attached to my phone, like because somebody might message and I had to get back to them. And it was like I was never present. But at the same time, it's like, okay, everything I've been working for is finally happening. You don't want to let it go pass you by, right? Well, here I'm like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. There needs to be some boundaries. And so I said, okay, well, my daughter is at work from 8 to 4 every day. I'm going to work while she's at work. And we're still going to spend evenings with her. And I'm still going to spend my weekends with her. Because, that's one thing too, when like for any of you who are moms, um, I like I was at home with my kids and I still feel like I got robbed of time. Just do. Like being a mom was the most important thing. So when I started this, I was like, I'm not giving up the time. I'm not doing it. Sorry. So I really focused on the activity. And I said, I'm doing what I know I need to do. And that's what I did. So we started at the last 4 days of May. And I said, okay, what can I do to maximize my paycheck? And that's what I focused on. And to maximize my check where I'm at, it was to bring 10 people in as quickly as I could and, to do a couple other things with it. But basically, it was to get 10 people. And I say to get, but ultimately all I was helping them do was just shop somewhere different. That's all I was really helping them do. It wasn't really recruiting them. They didn't need to want to do it with the business or anything like that. So I thought to myself, who do I know who's income interested that's never had success before? Or who do I know that's income interested that's willing to do the work, right? Like those were really the two things I focused on the most because also my hands were tied. I couldn't talk to people in my company. I couldn't talk to people who were in my team because I wasn't supposed to be doing something else. And I also knew I could do, if I wasn't using social media, I could do this under the radar. And so that was kind of my focus. But at the same time, I was about having a panic attack every day because I didn't want the word to get out. Because I wanted to hold on to what little bit of a check I had left because I still needed it. So I really focused on those activities. And in that 4 days, we did it. We brought in what we needed to. And that gave us a check of just under $1,400 for that 4 days. So then now I'm in the month of June. Now I had the ability to not only talk to people who I know, but I had the ability to get paid leads given to me. Now, here's the cool thing. I wasn't paying for it. But the leadership group that I was with, they were. And this is one of the biggest pieces of why I thought that people who had never had success before could have success because they would have people to talk to. That was always the biggest problem with everybody is they didn't have people to talk to. So now I'm in the leads. And again, I was doing this, starting in the morning. And I knew when my daughter was done with work for the day, I was done. We were done for the evening. And then I didn't do anything on the weekends. Like I just disappeared out of the groups. And also, our oldest daughter was coming to visit on June 25th. And so my goal by the end of June was to have 20 personal shoppers, like 20 personal people for myself, and to help other people go get their 8 so they could go have these leads as well. So I helped 2 other people go get their 8. I actually got to 23, but I did it all by June 25th because again, my daughter was arriving. It was a non-negotiable for me. I wasn't going to work when she was there. So that's what we did. And our check for that month was, let's see here. It must have been, well, in that first 5 weeks, we made over $4,600. So whatever the difference is there, we made over $4,600 in that first 5 weeks. Then July 1st, we left where we were. And my oldest was gone for a few days. So I had about 3 days that I worked. And in that 3 days, I brought in a couple of really good people because I started sharing my results. And then the next 2 weeks, I was literally on vacation. We were traveling with my oldest daughter. We were in national parks and stuff. We didn't even have service. So I was checking messages in the morning. I was checking messages in the afternoon when we came back, but that was it. But the cool part was people were working because they had leads. So those who had gotten themselves in that position had leads to talk to. So they were just doing their thing every day and bringing new people in with these leads. The new people who I brought in were getting their 8 in so they could get to the leads, and everything was working. And because of the way our process is set up, there was people there to answer their questions, even though I wasn't. So everything was working without me. It was beautiful. And at the end of July, I had helped 3 more people get their 8. Our group grew to, I think, about 156 people. And not for me, by the way, like I think I brought in 6 or 8. And we had a check at the end of that month that was just shy of $10,000. So in that first 9 weeks, we were able to go from 0 to 15,500 and something that we made. And so it was phenomenal. And we just kept doing that and doing that. And then by September, we hit a level that the company gives you a year to hit. And most people doing it the old way, and even people doing it other ways, usually takes them a year or 2 to get there. And we did it in 4 months. And I think the biggest reason for that is one, I had belief, not only in myself, but in the process. I did not question the process. I just followed it. And I plugged my people in to do the same exact thing. And if I look back now, the people who have struggled, either one took a pause because they needed to for whatever the reason and, weren't doing the work, or they tried to poke holes in the system. They tried to poke holes in the process and they've moved slower. They're still getting results. They're just not moving as fast as the people who didn't poke the holes. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to.
No, that's great. So coming from having to be on your phone all day and check in and message and make sure everyone's, got the information because you don't have a system, to
Mhm.
spending 2 weeks with your daughter and doing national parks. And yeah, of course you're checking messages and available, but you wake up and people are still joining what you're doing without, I'm going to call it babysitting
Mhm.
because it does
Yeah.
feel a little like babysitting in the beginning. What did that start to feel like for you?
Oh, it was beautiful. I had balance, right? I had balance for the first time and I couldn't even tell you when. And when I first started, I thought, okay, I'm going to keep doing digital marketing as well. I'm going to do both. But after a week, I stopped doing any of my digital marketing. And now I was on social media to be social when I wanted to be. That was it. It was so freeing. Like, I can't even tell you, after posting every day for 10 years, like, it was so freeing to not need to be doing it and not needing to respond and not need just, I don't, it's hard to describe um, how great it felt. Even the month of September, when we hit the big rank that we hit, I was in New York visiting family the entire month. I was staying with at the time, my 99-year-old grandmother. She turned 100 in January, and my dad and my mom and Jen and I were working very closely. She knows, like, I will say the last week of the month, I really buckled down. I was working the rest of the month, but I would get up and put, 2, 3 hours in, and then I would go spend the day with my family. Then I did have a lot of West Coasters. So at nighttime, after my grandma went to bed, I was messaging with my West Coasters and stuff for a couple of hours. So I still was probably putting, 4 to 5 hours in, but I did some very early in the morning and some later in the evening. The rest of the day I spent with my family. Like, I took my grandma out on drives and, like, we just did cool stuff. I like got to spend quality time with everybody. Um, and then also when we were with our kid, like, also my oldest daughter met up with us there. We went and did boat tours and all these things. And I didn't need to be on my phone. If I had my phone out, it was because I was taking pictures and documenting our stuff. It
Right.
wasn't because I had to be on it. And even when we came back when I came back to Arizona in the fall, we were at some get-togethers with friends, and I would hear people talking to my husband, going, "Man, Trish hasn't picked up her phone one time this whole evening. She's actually been present. She's been having conversation." Like, I gave my phone to them to run the music off of. Like, I didn't even have my phone in my hand or pocket the entire evening. That had never happened, like, in recent years. It was so cool. Um, and it's just continued to be that way. And so my belief has gotten better and stronger. And now, I'm reaching out to way more people who I knew. Like, I'm digging into the archives, not because I need to, because I want to, because I'm like, I want these people to win. These are people who I know they've wanted to have success somewhere before and they just were never able to for whatever the reason. But I know they could hear. They've got the work ethic. They could hear. And that's just what I want to help people do, because it's such a good feeling to have that balance. Like, even we had friends a couple weeks ago, some RV friends that we met. They were in town for like a week. We did something with them every evening, every single evening. I never would have been able to do that before.
Yeah, it's so freeing when you can be a friend and spend time and enjoy life without
Mhm.
having I was part of your build when you were in New York,
Yeah.
and I remember you were doing videos and you were walking, and like the environment was so beautiful, and you're spending time with your grandmother and your family. And I grew up having to grind and climb the corporate ladder, and my grandparents are passed now. And I'm like, if I would have found this first, I would have had so much more time to ask them questions that I want to ask them now in my 40s that you
Hmm.
don't think of, like, you don't realize how fast time goes by. And then usually it's some kind of life event and you're like, oh, I need to find something that works to get that time back.
Hmm.
Man, I'm so excited that you're sharing with us. So you, with respect to time, do you have a hard stop in 15?
Nope.
Okay. Okay. So you went from 1,400 to almost 10,000 in a month. Now you're over 40,000 in 4 months. But what's been the biggest shift in your life outside of the numbers?
Um, I sleep at night. Uh, that's a big one. I actually sleep. Um, I'm not stressed out all the time. I I go to sleep knowing that uh, at the end of the month, our check is going to cover what we need, and we're still growing. But my focus right now is primarily on just helping other people get to that same point. Like that's 99% of everything I focus on is how can I help others have the same. Um, and I'm able to do that without it. Like it helps me. It doesn't even hurt me. That's the cool thing, right? Like it's and even people who aren't direct to me, it doesn't matter. Like I want to dig down as deep as I can and help as many people because at the end it's you know, just to go back, I remember when I first got into this industry, people said if you can help enough people get to where they want to go, you'll get to where you want to go by default. And I always felt like I was doing that. Like I always in my heart, that's what I thought I was doing. But I can feel the difference here. I am making an impact. I am seeing people get comma checks every month. I've got one guy in particular with me, never made a comma check anywhere in his life. And the only check he had here that hasn't had a comma in it was his very first one. And that's awesome. And he does it part time. I've watched, other people. Well, so the last check reveal we had, we were up to over 75,000. And I guess that was in like 8-ish months, I think, about. And the people who I personally have shared this with have made over 65,000.
Wow.
And that was huge to me because they're right on my heels,
Yeah.
right? And granted, that's divided through those people, but still, like, that's never happened before. And it's just, to me, it just shows that the process is great. And so I feel like I can have a life. I feel like I can have balance. I feel like we're, that by the end of this year, we're going to, all this like debt that happened from building businesses since we went on the road, we can have it all paid off. We can be back to be, zero again with all that. Um, like it's making an impact. And we're also able to help other people in the process do the same thing. And even when we were at, the peak with our other company, I, yeah, we were doing all right, but I didn't have people who were making money that was making an impact to their family. And that's the bigger thing here is really helping those people because that's really all I ever wanted. But and I used to think it wasn't that they weren't doing the work, but I think it was no, they didn't have the right vehicle. They didn't have the right vehicle to do it, and now they do. If they want it, they do.
Yeah.
Um, and so as we're planning out our summer, I'm not even sure what we're going to be doing exactly yet, but I know that we're going to have still lots of family time in there. We'll be visiting family, and I know I'll be able to have balance and enjoy that time. Up until last summer, like our first couple years on the road, we were traveling to all these beautiful places, and we weren't getting to enjoy any of them
Mm.
because we were working so hard. Now we're getting to enjoy them, and that was the whole point. Like the whole point of living this life and exploring everything is to actually explore and go see and do, not just have a good view out your window, which is cool, but to actually go get to enjoy it a little bit. And so yeah, so it's been the biggest breath of fresh air, and so grateful for it every day. Like just so grateful.
Yeah. And to preface for a lot of the fears that we all have, you're not building on social. You're not
Nope,
bugging friends and family. You're not
nope,
doing any cold DMs. You're not doing
nope.
what people, talk about doing on social media. So I want to share one of the things that Trisha has taught me as I unpeel my layer of trusting the process. Is one of the things that I was always taught was, you've got 7 skills that you need to acquire to be good. And it felt like I had to develop all 7 skills by myself. Like someone's going to tell me, you got to do recruiting and then you got to do onboarding and then you got to do all these things. And it felt really overwhelming. Like, well, gosh, if I have to get all 7 of those skills and I'm doing okay, when am I going to have that break where my check was 10,000 consistently instead of, this promotion that kind of made it happen? And I just want to preface that with your accounting background, God bless your gorgeous brain, you push me in a way that I don't feel pressured. You also give me a very safe space to say, I've got some things happening, just give me a day or 2 or 3. But because your brain works in that way, you have my business mapped out for me, which I think is a skill I will develop or lean on you forever. I don't know. It works out for both of us. But I can lean on you because you see things in a way. And I love it so much because every time you call me and you talk about the team, you say, I want this for this person. I want this for this person. It's not like, we need to make this happen so I can rank. We need to make this happen because I'm short on money. Like some of us have had experiences where people talked to us in a
Hmm.
way where it was like, are you going to place your order? Because I need to count on that. And instead, it's like, hey, listen, this person is this far away from this. I really want her to hit it. What can we do together? And you have a skill set that I don't have developed. I'm just not in that life. I may never develop it, but I don't feel like if I don't develop it, I'm not going to get somewhere because I can trust you. We've been here almost a year together, and every single month,
Hmm.
you not only know where I'm at, you know where so many people are. God bless your beautiful brain. And you're not bothering me. I don't feel like, oh my gosh, I'm getting this text to place my order. Oh my gosh, I'm getting like, I got to push for this rank. So it's truly like, we were just at an event, Trisha and I, and we got to, stand up when we were at a certain level. And I didn't get to know where she was because when they asked her to stand up, it was like a range of ranks. And I was so like, but where is she? Because she deserves it, And it's nice to work with someone where, like, I want you to win. I want you to win. I don't feel like my mentors taking from me or using me or talking down to me. It's very much like I have a skill set that I can bring to my team. If they don't have this one thing between the two of us, and I mean between our community, no one has to come in with a set of 7 skills to succeed. They just need to
Hmm.
help 8 people shop somewhere else. And then the thing that they resist the most, calling or talking to people or whatever that's like, they really don't have to do ever again.
Hmm.
So thank you for that
100%.
because
You're welcome.
I love your whiteboard. I love it. And it just helps me do the critical activities for my team, for those who are, going after their comet check, going after a vacation, going after 2,000 a month to see that it's real and decide if they want to transfer out of their jobs or not. It's nice to
And
trust that.
it is. And can I add something to what you said? Just to give a little perspective for some others. One of the things, and and this comes with time, you'll learn it. Um, And it doesn't have to be a mastered skill up front, but I do think it's something that has definitely helped me be better. And I don't like to use the word leader because, in my opinion, here we've all got our own thing. We're all doing our own thing, and like I don't I don't really want to be somebody's leader. Like I just like we're all leaders, right? And we're just at different levels in our business right now, and we're just all trying to get to the top. So, but one thing that I learned early on working with you is you're a connector. You've got a huge heart, and there needs to be fun in it. If there's not fun, Jen's not in, right? So, also knowing that, I know with Jen's personality, tying her down with too many little details and facts, her brain, she's just gonna be like, nope, glaze over, done. So that's how I said, okay, how can I communicate with her in a way that's going to keep the fun in it? And I also know Jen's got a huge heart and she wants to help other people. Now, we're always out for helping other people. So I just want to preface that too, that I'm not telling her this just because I know Jen likes to help people, but I know I can pull that part. Like some people don't care as much, and we got to try and help them care a little more. Jen, I know cares. So that's where, like she and I spent an hour yesterday on a call, which I didn't think it would be that long, but she's got so many incredible people that she's been connecting with and working with that we had to go through some of these people and figure out, okay, well, who do these people have? Who have they been talking to? Because we're trying to help maximize every single person, right? So we're going all the way to the bottom of like, who did we just bring to, who is here? And it's okay, well, all right, this person's ready to go. Good. Let's help them hit here. Let's help them hit here. And we work our way up. And hey, by the way, if all this happens, this person's going to do this person's going to do this. And if all that happens, this is what will happen for you. Right. So it's more of helping every single person on that journey. But I know with Jen, it's as simple as saying she needs 4 more to get to her 8. She needs 3 more to get to her 8. And I look at my notepad, I wrote down every person's name. All I did was write a number next to them. I took a screenshot and I sent it to her. And I said, that's all we got to focus on. So it wasn't like getting caught up in all the details. It's let's just help these people hit this number right here. That's it. But also, I just want to add, Jen is super coachable. And that's one thing you have to ask yourself. Are you? Because even for me, and I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I built systems in the past. I was the one who built a bunch of these things, and I came to a place that had a process in place, and I didn't half use the process. I used the process for a couple of reasons. One, it was working, so why try and fix it? Two, if I could show my people that all I did was follow this, then they could do the same thing. I didn't need personality behind it. I didn't need skill level behind it. All we needed to do was follow the process. We didn't need to put any flair on it at all. And if you can do it without putting any flair, then it's replicatable to every single person. And that's the goal, is that you don't have to have these skill sets. Anybody can do it. It doesn't mean like regular people, we like to say. And I mean that because it really is the way it's been designed. Every person can do it if they're willing to just embrace it and follow it to a T. Now, it doesn't mean that every person's going to say yes. And like you're still going to have those things. But if you just focus on following the process, it will work for you. And sticking to it, like saying the things that we tell you to say, not deviating from it. So anyway, Jen, you're amazing. I like to tell you that a lot because she is. So I do like to tell her that a lot.
Thank you. And I need it. So I'm okay with telling Trish, today I need a hug. Tomorrow it might be a kick in the pants. So for the people that are watching right now and they're thinking, well, that sounds great, but I don't think I'll be good at this. What would you tell them?
Well, if you keep thinking that way, you won't be. That's the first thing I'm going to say is you've got to change your mindset.
Yeah.
And I know sometimes that's easier said than done. Um, but the only way that you're going to get good at something is by doing something and telling yourself you're going to be good at it. Even when you're not 100% sure, you have to build up belief in your mind. You do. And I think as long as you're taking someone else's, even in the beginning, before you've got results, share somebody else's results. Like Jen has shared a lot of my results. She's building an incredible story for herself, and she's going to have huge results to share as well. But you you've got to understand that if you do the right activities, it will work. And so I think a good way to also say it is uh, sometimes people are like, well, I'm going to watch you, and if it worked for you, then I'm going to do it. Well, that's a horrible thing to say, I think, because you don't know what that person's doing, right? You can't control what that person is doing. Sometimes you've got to have belief that it's just going to work. And you've got to go for it knowing it's just going to work. And that, even when I made that change, that was part of the huge decision is I'm like, okay, I don't, the last thing on this earth I want to do is another thing. Like, I don't want to do another thing. But I believe this thing will get me everything I've been wanting and everything I've been working for. And so I just truly put 100% belief into that and focused on that. And that was it. It wasn't about being good. It wasn't about anything. It was about following the process and just doing the work. And that was it.
Yeah, in a world where overthinking is almost normal, it can be hard to make a decision for what's right for you until you come to this place where you're like, I'm burning the boat. This is going to work, and I'm going to do it until it works because there just is no other option. So I
That's the key,
definitely,
Jen. Not to interrupt you, but that's the key, right? There
yeah,
was no other option
yeah.
for me, right? Like to me, this was it. And and that's why I had to go in with 100% belief because I had to have it work. It had to. But the only way it will work is if you do the work and stay in line with it. Sorry.
And if you're not sure, just borrow our belief, borrow our results, borrow our stories. Trish and I have a mutual friend and business partner that celebrated her 1 year. She got started a few months before us. She is a mom. She lives in Texas. She's busy, and she cleared $140,000. And this was
Mhm.
someone who we knew. She shared the stage in our last company. She is an amazing, incredible, busy mom and wife. And it's nice to have a system to plug into so you can still be a busy mom and busy wife, but now it's more meaningful. It's not, I got to Zoom and I'll share one last story and then we'll end it. But we were at again an event here in Scottsdale about 2 weekends ago, and there was a woman, and I resonated with her story so much because she was in a previous company, and she was building and on her phone and doing the things, and there might have been some money there, but her husband looked at her one day and said, "You are not here for us. You're on Zooms, you're on calls. We don't know you anymore." And I really resonated with that. And so she joined a friend and ordered product because she had to shop anyway. So she just switched her shopping, and she did it with her friend while her husband was at work and didn't tell him for 30 days. And in the first month, she made $5,500. So then she told her husband, and he said, "Okay, you can do this one." And I thought that is so great that she was able. It's like you clock in and you go to work, and then you come home and you're available for your family because you like what you do. You're not coming home stressed out. You're not complaining. You're not bringing that burden inside. She was able to do it around her life and create a really meaningful business with a lot of other people. And I know a lot of us have had, past experiences, even with jobs. It doesn't have to necessarily be in any kind of, selling industry, but just having a job that you poured your heart into because you thought it would get you to be a CEO or a CFO. That was my dream with my company, which was Harbor Freight. I bled blue. My life and every decision was made around growing that company until they made decisions that were beyond my control. And that was during the '08. It was a whole other pandemic for some of us. And I thought, this isn't a fit. I need to figure something else out. So thank you so much, Trish. Is there anything you want to say before we kind of end the call? Anything you want to add for anybody watching that's like,
Yeah, I just I just wanted to add something to what you had said. The one thing that was really cool about that gal you're referring to, who was on stage, is I remember her saying to her husband that she actually had started the business, and he was like, "What? I didn't even know." Because again, he didn't see her doing it. But the other thing too, just real quickly, is that the gal that Jen was referring to that we know who's here, her first 3 months, she actually didn't really do anything. It was like she did just enough. When they put a promo out about a trip, she did just enough to earn that. And then I think the next week, our group came in and we took off so fast that we were on her heels. And the person who had shared it with her was like, you need to get moving or they're going to pass you and you're literally going to miss out on all these bonuses. And that's what got her going. And she told me, we were in Cancun together, and she said, man, you changed my business. She said, not because you and your whole group, not just me. She said, but when you guys came in, it lit a fire under my butt. So that burned so hard, I had to run because I knew if I didn't, you guys were going to outpace me. But in the meantime, so I share this because in the meantime, her first 6 months, she made 37,000. Okay. My first 6 months, I made 60,000. Her first 9 months, she made 99,000. That's how much she turned it on. Right. And in my first 9 months, actually, I don't even know if I'm at 9 months, but right now at 8 months, we're at 75,000. So I say this because she turned it on, and man, did she get paid out for it like crazy, for doing that. So it really changed things for her, because she was just feeling a little bit alone. She was in the same boat we were. She'd been in the same company. She wasn't sure. She was kind of toe dipping at first. But when she stopped toe dipping and went all in, everything changed for her. And so, I just want to say, don't toe dip. Like, just jump in. If you're ready to jump in, jump in. Don't dip your toe.
yeah, and if I'm honest, I definitely toe dipped out of fear that of stuff from my past. And it's honestly you staying the course, her staying the course, and then going to regional and meeting those other women that were in the same emotional boat. I know the critical activities to do, but I told myself a story that I couldn't afford to go all in because I had this other thing. And what if, what if? And now I'm pissed because I do not have the financial results in this one company. I do with others, but I am on my phone and I am busy. And so now when people come and join us and they ask me, do you think I should, do this or do that? I'm like, all in, go all in, because I know now of women who were able to make, even if they got started in their first month and didn't quite hit a big check, that second check is a comma check to $5,000 that I've personally witnessed, because I'm always going to share. My people know me, like, I will never
Mhm.
tell you to do something I'm not doing or lie to you about a result that we're not getting. So I just want to thank you for being on the call. For those of you
Thanks for having
who
me.
maybe you don't know me or us, you were invited, through an email or through a Facebook. Like, there's all kinds of ways that you could have been invited. But if you would like us to reach out, all you have to do is you can put me in the comment right now. I'm going to, this is all recorded, so I'm going to see me if you want me or someone from our team to reach out to you. But I want to encourage you, if you were invited by somebody, it's because they see something here. And for those of us, maybe we've done things in the past, but we are here because our team is winning. It's not about our results. They're great because we do the work. But if they're great and we are following a process, we're just asking you to follow the same exact process that we have already followed. So if you're not quite comfortable with putting a me, because I can respect that we are all in different places, then just number one, get with the person and just say, I'm just interested in more. Just be interested in more. Just be open to the idea that you were here for a reason, that this could potentially change your life, and be ready for that change. Be ready to be unstuck and have clarity and have money in your bank account and time with your kids and your grandkids and all of the things that we think could be so far away. They're a lot. The time is going to go by. The time's going to go by, and we're going to be working and doing things. We can show you how to do this with 5 hours a week will get you started. And from there, you can decide how far you want to take this. We will send this replay out in an email. And if you were invited by me, I want to invite you to get back to me, because we are building, we are growing. We're only getting bigger faster. The momentum, I feel like, is probably just now starting to really take off as our belief. Sometimes our belief takes a little bit of time, and that's okay. But give yourself permission to lean on me, to lean on Trish, to lean on some of the people that are on the team watching now, and give yourself permission to win. So thank you, Trish, truly from the bottom of my heart, for being here, for pushing me, for making that phone call and say, you gotta see something I saw, I can't unsee it, and you don't have to tell me yes, but I need you to see it. And I did, and I was ready to go. So thank you everyone for being
Thanks for
here.
having me.
Absolutely. I look forward to hearing from some of you guys. I hope you got something out of this video. Thank you. I hope you guys have a great day.